All right. I'm obsessed with this passage. So it nuances the notion of destructive magic. And I hadn't thought about this really clearly about how destructive magic really does have a specific person. When we looked at the Indian magic, it always had a specific target. Good magic for general prosperity, for good luck, for might I have a good day is very general. But black magic, aggressive magic, has a specific target or victim. So when I started looking at magic, sort of in my career, I was looking at resurrecting spells, spells that were to bring the dead back to life, specific people back to life. And then that got me interested in murder spells. And from there, that took me to the 6 results that I'm obsessed with now. And that opened up this whole world of Sanskrit magic. So, how does this description of magic with a specific target being bad magic or aggressive magic versus good magic that doesn't have a specific target, how does that compare to what I've described and written about regarding Indic aggressive magic? I mean, we could spend a whole course just talking about positive magic, but you'd be surprised at how little there is. I tried to put together a course on just good magic. There wasn't a lot out there. Now, in the 19th and 20th century, magic began to be practiced and deployed by Westerners in a generally positive way. And in fact, if you hang out with occultists, they're, for the most part, really positive. Very few of them do black magic, except for the ones that I like to hang out with. The Harry Potter effect has kind of happened so that it's not taboo to do magic. Once upon a time, if I said I'm a magician, even in the United States, you could be killed. I mean, when I was growing up in the 1980s in a fundamentalist Christian church, we were terrified of witches. And I would argue to say that us turn the other cheek Christians, if somebody came into our church and said, I'm a witch, I worship the devil, I kill dogs to make horrible things happen to others, I think us good Christians might have murdered that person. Pick it around. Okay. So there's no fear these days that the use of magic will get a person prosecuted and killed. So is bad magic real? And this is really interesting. Page 192 to 195. Evans Pritchard actually says nobody really does bad magic. Bad magic isn't real. It's real in the sense that people are worried about it and they think about it, but he couldn't find any evidence of people actually doing it. Now, Evans Pritchard argues there's no way to observe sorcery because no one will admit to doing it. So he wonders if anybody ever did it in the first place. I would argue that most witchcraft magic worldwide, in fact, is anti-witchcraft because there's nobody that really does witchcraft, and we'll see this in France in the same way that people who are against witchcraft, the anti-witchers, describe. It is almost a human universal that folk, for the most part, do not want to do aggressive magic. There are far fewer evil people in the world than one would be led to think. There is lore about bad magic among the Azandi, but, there are no people really knowing bad magic ritual or applying bad magic rituals. So Evans Pritchard gives 6 reasons for bad magic not actually existing. 1, no one has ever admitted to him about owning bad magic medicines. There's no evidence of anybody being punished for sorcery or any clear guilt of sorcery being performed. There's no witnesses that he ever encountered of someone actually doing bad sorcery. Now, an oracle can say this person did bad sorcery, but no one's ever observed someone actually doing this stuff. Sort of like when we talk about witchcraft amongst the Azandi, nobody admits to being a witch and nobody's seen anybody do witchery. So sudden, violent illness is declared to be sorcery, but there's no evidence that someone's done a ritual to cause it. The sickness itself is evidence of the sorcery being depicted. So it is its own proof. There's no witness of a ritual or medicine being deployed against a sick person. Now, sorcery rituals and techniques in the lore are really weird. They're really different and really aberrant from the type of magic that Zundis usually do and will describe doing. So it's all just too weird to be something that anyone actually does. It's almost like sorcery is an inversion or a perversion of normal ritual. Now, a big argument throughout the study of black magic is that it's just too weird and too strange and too violent and aggressive and gross for anybody to actually do it. I kind of like this argument. I would also argue that the reason it's considered effective or is so frightening is because it's just so weird. Now, when medicines are actually discovered, then there's evidence, or when there's evidence that a medicine was deployed or a ritual deploying medicine has sort of remnants. So you go and you find the plants and around in the magic circle and whatever, and you're like, oh, somebody did medicine. But just by looking at that evidence, you can't tell if it's good or bad. Remember that there is not a clear system for marking out magic amongst the Azandi and its intention, and you can't intuit just from looking at the ingredients what the magic ritual did. Now, if you're in India, see the wing of a crow and the wing of an owl, you're like, that's Vidveshana. That's rituals that will make previously intimate people hate each other. But we don't have that amongst the Azandi. Now, furthermore, and I think this is really kind of a slick argument on Evans Pritchard's point, the use of good magic, when good magic is deployed openly by anybody, you can't see observable effects. Be clear on this. When you do good magic, then if good things happen, people are like, it could be magic, could be not. The Zandi are very sophisticated. They're not going to say, this material thing happened, it must be magic. So when deploying good magic, you cannot see a direct observable result. So Pritchard argues, how would a sorcerer know doing bad magic that the magic is working? There's just no way. And if he can't tell if it's working, what would cause him to persist in this if there is not a reason to think that it worked? Now, I would argue, in fact, that a bad sorcerer is so angry and hateful that he would persist in doing the ritual because he just has burning hatred, even if he can't see it as a result. I used to have an answering machine. That's a thing we used to have because we didn't all have cell phones. And I would get these messages from this sorcerer pal I know from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan every time a prominent Republican would die. Now, he's from an old mining family, very union, very left wing. And he'd just call me up and he'd be like, I got that one. And that's it. And I'd be like, he got what one? And I'd look in the news and some prominent Republican figure had died. And I'd be like, well, all right. He's on the case. I got that one. I'd often get these little answering machine messages and it'd be like, got another one. So, you know, I think that if you hate people enough, even if you're not sure if your magic works or not, you'll keep doing it. All right.